and today we have an adult learner with us joining. We have joined by Mr. Pramod Rao, who is the founder and CEO of Threado and also was the ex-VP marketing of Zomato. So welcome to the show, Pramod.
Thanks so much, GM Priyadharshan, and great that I discovered chess Gaja. It's been amazing.
So, when did you start your chess journey?
I'm in a career transition right now, so I'm turning 40 this year. So
I have a game of yours, so we'll talk about that as well. So you can share your thoughts on what your maybe decision making was. Hello everyone, welcome to Chess Gaja's YouTube channel. I am Grandmaster Priyadharshan and we have a special guest on our interview today. We've been covering a lot of our different students, a lot of young students so far, and today we have an adult learner with us joining. And also the student adult learner has a very interesting profile. So we have joined by Mr. Pramod Rao, who is the founder and CEO of Threado and also was the ex-VP marketing of Zomato. So welcome to the show, Pramod. Happy to have you here. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much, GM Priyadharshan, and great that I discovered chess Gaja. It's been amazing. So thanks for creating it. I've had a great few sessions with my coach, and looking forward to learning more. But yeah, chess has been more of a recent journey for me. So I'm happy to share anything. We can dive into the questions that you want to know more about.
Sure, definitely. So first of all, when did you start your chess journey? Is it like when you were young, or is it like more of a recent hobby? How did you pick up chess as
Yeah, sure. So I think I was aware of like chess and basics of it from childhood, but never really picked it up with curiosity up until now. So it was just something that was on the side, and I have like a couple of chess boards at home. It's always been there, but never like top of mind, I'd say. And I think just a few months back, I'm in a career transition right now, so I'm turning 40 this year. So I spent like a few days just thinking through 40 plus, like the years after 40, like what are the things that I might be interested in that I want to pick up and pursue further. Interestingly, like chess came up in some of that reflection that I did, and I wanted to pick a sport or something that I can do for years. And physical activity, there is a limitation beyond a point. So, and chess I was always curious about chess. So I felt, okay, now is the right time to sort of dive in.
Okay.
And I thought that, okay, I'm aware of chess, but then let me learn it a bit more seriously. And that's when I searched for what are the options and came across Chess Gaja. Um, I think the team was flexible to make it happen as well. So because I had a back and forth on whether this is possible and so on. And thanks so much for accommodating. And it's been great. Yeah.
Happy to have you here. Like for example, when like my team told me, for me it was like, one of the things that from the start we never had a age limitation in terms of classes. We just said like chess players of all levels and ages. We always have that kind of our tagline. So we were like, and adult chess learning is something we are really trying to build it up in India, and we believe so. That's why we were very happy when we see adult learners showing interest, and we do have quite a few adult learners I mean majority of us like kids who learn with us, but we do have here and there like maybe 4-5% of our students would be adults. So for us it's exciting to see what motivates them, and so on, like how we could do like keep their interest and also keep them more motivated in their performance. And because most adult learners don't go and play in tournaments often, they learn it for certain particular purposes. So very, very happy to hear the kind of the way that you decided. And maybe you could also say that chess becoming very popular like in the media recently, that also was maybe a decision why you thought, okay, maybe.
I think it happened in parallel, probably me getting some time off and thinking of what else I can do and outside like being in the startup space, you're so involved in just the startup that life just passes by. So and I think in parallel, chess over the last few years has gained a lot of visibility and prominence as well. So I'd say definitely a source of inspiration. And like I said, it's something that's uh, it's not like a physical activity where there's a limitation. So if there's something like that I was curious about and I wanted to pick up and like play, and it's easy to like play anywhere. So I just felt okay, like right now it's a time to sort of dive deeper into it and see where it goes.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, like, how much time do you able to spend on chess like these days? Like, what's like your chess routine? Do you have a chess routine or a schedule these days?
I don't know if you can call it a routine. I hope to like make it slightly more structured, but I do spend probably an hour a day as of now. And it's mostly into playing games and sort of like analyzing the games on what could have been better.
Okay.
And yeah, with the coaching, yeah, there is definitely like we were following like 3 days a week, and then I was traveling, so we took a break. We're resuming again and April 14th onwards. So that's about like 3 to 4 hours of like coached learning in a week, and plus game time. I try to play every day so that I'm like applying whatever I'm learning and seeing where what works, what does not. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Fantastic. Fantastic. And also, do you follow like top other chess games, as in like like the top player games or something like
Mm.
that? Also, do you follow those as well?
Yeah, so n not on a like every top game, but then I have like whenever the tournament's happening, I think more recently I've started like just watching those games. But yeah, like that's a great idea to like keep doing that on a regular basis. Some of the games are like just amazing and the kind of moves that are there. So yeah, I do it from time to time.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I also have, as I mentioned, I was like mentioning before the interview, I mentioned I have a game of yours, so we'll talk about that as well. Like, so you can
Yeah,
share your thoughts on
sure.
like, what your maybe decision making was in particular key moments of the game and so on. So
Yeah.
before I come to that part of the game, so like once you started, like you've been in the startup space as well as and so on. So how do you think like chess, do you think chess has an impact in problem solving or big decisions, those kind of things. And
Mm.
what's your take on it? And we would like to know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is probably like a personal discovery while like in the last few weeks or months of learning chess. I think initially it started out of curiosity for the game itself, but as I played it, I started seeing there are areas that develop if I learn more. Like, one is decision making with constraints, right? Like especially if you're playing a certain kind of format, you have to decide on the next move based on what the other player is also like thinking through. But and then there are certain constraints which limit, and then you can take a stance of either being defensive or aggressive, and or that also matters in the style that you play with. Like, I initially started with like a defensive approach, and then with the coach we sort of discussed that it's better to take an aggressive stance, and then I actually saw that difference when I played, that it was a better way to approach the game, and it's more exciting as well. Um, so definitely, yeah, I think like decision making, anticipation. I'm still very early to like thinking through what are the potential moves in a particular scenario, and then weighing those, and then arriving at a okay, this probably makes the best answer. And when you look at startups, and I've been a startup operator and a founder as well. These are like day-to-day things in startups as well. So you have very limited information. A lot of decision making has to happen. I would say calculated intuition. So like you have intuition, but you also need to calculate risks and then take a call. And lot of times um, you will get things wrong, but then how do you recover from that? So I see commonalities there in terms of the game of chess and what we go through in, you could say, the startup world. So that was interesting to see. Like I didn't anticipate or I didn't think of that as the motivation to learn chess. But as I was playing, I was like, okay, this seems like something if I learn this part, I can use that or like, somehow in other parts of life as well. So yeah.
So maybe when you're learning a particular concept, you're able to like kind of maybe connect it to a real life scenario. Maybe like this is equivalent to this, that kind of something like this chess scenario could be equivalent to this kind of that.
Not with that much clarity yet,
Yeah.
but I think subconsciously, definitely, like, I see it as, when you're in a certain situation, these things definitely help. It's not like, when I look at a situation, I've seen through, okay, like this is what I could have done there,
Yeah.
but it's more about developing that skill set, right? And I can see like, okay, this developing this skill set will actually be beneficial elsewhere. And because I've been in those situations where
Yeah.
this skill would help.
Got it. One of the major things when you were saying about constraint and all, I think especially is with clock in a real game, right? Like in a chess game, you have to make a decision within a certain minutes or based on the time
Yeah.
control
So
you're
I think
making. Yeah.
yeah, like time and then resources as well, depending on what you have. Um, um, you know, uh, Maybe I don't know the game that you picked, but then there were one of these games where I was actually in a losing situation, but then yeah, somehow there was an opportunity and I was just following and maybe the other player missed that, right? So those things, like, I mean, the constraints are also like resources you have, what you can do with it, and sometimes you might just have to get to a draw, like, given the time constraint. So
Yeah.
how do you do that? Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So now, as you're mentioning about the game, maybe we'll go to the game, and then I have a few more questions, and then we'll go from there. So let me share
Okay,
my
sure, sure.
screen. Yeah, just a
Yeah, yeah.
moment. So
Okay.
yeah, that's. I hope my screen is visible to you.
No,
Can you see my screen?
I can see it started. Yeah, now I can see
Okay.
it. Yes,
So this
yes.
was a game about in the last 2 to 3 days. So I picked one of your more recent games that
Okay.
you were playing Black. I don't know if you
Hmm.
remember it, but maybe when you go through, you could have some ideas of what it is
Sure.
and so on. So D4, D5, C4. So do you know these opening names, all that now, like major opening names? Or
Yes, some of them, but yeah, it doesn't come intuitively yet, like, when I see it, but
yeah,
that's something that I want to pick up with time.
yeah.
But I think I know like the Queen's Gambit and like, the some of the opening names, but yeah, it's still very early, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. And so you're playing black in this game, and I think your
Yes,
opponent is O6 RIZ. That's the username. So you're playing black, and then you go here, here. If you want, if you remember anything at or some point, maybe if you want to explain your thought process, please stop me there and please add your notes. Would love to hear what your thought process is.
sure. Yeah.
So E6, and then CD5, D5, E3. And generally, like, do you play any specific time controls like 10+2 or like
I
short?
play the 10 minutes rapid. That's it.
Okay.
I don't do the addition
Okay. And
yet.
no
Yeah, so
increment.
that's another thing that I want to. I've played a format like I think in Bangalore, the chess community.
Yeah.
They had a 3+2 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
The format, and that was very interesting. First time I played that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I haven't. I've sort of just maybe it's inertia. I've just been playing the 10
Okay.
minute
10 plus
one. Yeah.
0, basically.
Yes.
And no
Yeah.
increment.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So knight F6, knight E5 over here.
Yeah.
And kind of now you decide to capture. But do you remember
Yeah.
anything about this game or
So,
maybe?
so far not yet. I think I'll
Okay.
probably remember the mid and end game.
Okay. Okay.
But
Got
yeah,
it.
like usually when there have been games where I've gone on the back foot because the knight just comes in and let's say the knight would. So my thought process here was this knight would take the pawn on
F7.
f7,
Yeah.
and then my like basically my king will have to like I'll lose the castling ability there.
Yeah.
And that's happened like a couple of games where I was like, okay, I just let the knight come through, right? So this game, I just felt, okay, let me just take the knight first.
Okay. So one thing maybe what I would say is like okay, castling is an important aspect of the game, but what is the trade-off the opponent is giving? If they're willing to give a 3-point knight for a
Yeah.
1-point pawn, it's certainly like a very favorable trade-off for
Got
black.
it.
Because
Got it.
what we could
Yeah.
do, like even though we couldn't like castling kind of like an automatic thing, what we could do is
Yeah.
even if we go king f7, let's say the king lands here, we could
Yeah.
develop the bishop and then put the rook,
And
and then we
move
could like
this
kind of
side.
hand castle. We would call it
Yeah.
hand
Yeah.
castle if you want to do it. But
Got it.
again, the king safety is only a problem if the opponent can build up, a lot of pressure on the king. If the opponent
Mm.
cannot build up any pressure, even if the
Yeah.
king is kind of weak. So
Yeah.
how I tell a lot to my students is, imagine you are let's say like a lion who is past the prime, but so
Mm.
you're not like the strongest one out there. But
Yeah.
if you are in a forest that's only cows there, you are still the strongest. It doesn't
Mm.
matter,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
only if there's a much more formidable like opponent out there, your king is going to be under pressure.
Yeah.
If it's going to be things that are not as formidable as your, even if your strength has declined, you are still the
Yeah.
most formidable kind of player out there on that particular forest or wherever you are, and so on. So knight e5, d5, knight d7, and over here, queen e4, knight c5. So you kind of dropped a pawn here, and then you were playing
Yeah.
knight c5, queen c2,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
queen a5 check. Bishop d2, queen b6, bishop c4. So, and here again, I believe it was mainly the same thing. You were not like kind of interested in allowing them to capture on f7.
Yeah. That's correct. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And bishop e6 in general is a good move because you're just developing a new piece out there and bringing it
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
game. The only thing was that as black, we're a pawn down, especially a center pawn. So we are kind of in back foot because of that, because
Correct.
material
Yeah.
equality uh,
And
is.
I think like the moving the queen there was not. I could have moved further down or.
You mean here when you give a check here?
Yeah. After the check, like I moved just one down. I think.
Yeah, you could move back
But
here, but I think, okay, if we look at this check was actually not necessary at all, because
okay.
one of the
Mm-hmm.
opening principles we talk is like, don't bring out your queen too early. Like,
Mm-hmm.
try to bring your minor pieces and all that first. Try to bring your
Got it.
major pieces depending upon the situation into like where you want to put them in. Because if you bring them out too early, it's like opponent will easily be able to react to it and
Yeah.
so on. But like the bishops, knights, and those minor pieces, if you bring them out, castle and so on, then so for example, a much better move here would have been just to play bishop e7 and trying to short castle and keep the
Okay.
game
Yeah.
going. And later decide whether the queen needs to go here or here or here, or maybe even just stay on d8, depending
Yeah.
upon the situation and
Got
so
it.
on. So this also, the problem with this is you're just giving a free tempo to your opponent, like free
Yeah.
way to
So
develop.
I lost tempo after that
Yeah.
for a bit. Yeah.
So if the same idea, if you had do it directly queen b6, at least they don't get the free tempo. Kind of that's
Yeah.
the difference. Yeah. So over
Mm-hmm.
here. So coming back here, bishop e6 takes castle, bishop e7, knight c3, shut castle, and your opponent went knight a4.
Yeah.
And you went queen b5. So now you're kind of hitting the pawn, and you're also having
Mm.
some pressure over
Yes.
here.
Oh, the good
You're
night. Yeah.
doing good. And yeah, you got the pawn back.
Mm.
Okay, so let's say this position, let's say if you have to explain what's now that you're seeing it, maybe even let's assume you're seeing it for the first time, how
Mm.
would you look at this position? Maybe just now that you're materially equalized, what are factors do you look for, or how do you approach a position like this so that I can maybe add some.
Yeah. So I anticipate that they'll probably move their pawn um, to f4
Okay.
so that the queen they put pressure on our queen.
Yeah.
And um, I'm I'm thinking basically using the queen and the knight, I can put pressure on the king there, and I have so that at least that's what I'm thinking right now. That
Mhm.
let the pawn come, and then I move the queen and use the knight to sort of move in the direction of putting pressure on the king. But I don't know what I've played, so like we can maybe check.
Yeah. The one thing I noticed, not just this game, because
Yeah.
I was going through a bunch of games to pick this game,
Yeah.
you are looking at the forcing moves pretty well, like the moves that create threats. For like
Hmm.
even when you're saying like the first thought process you're saying is like, what if my opponent plays f4? So we
Yeah.
call those the forcing moves in chess because they force a decision from the opponent. It could be, forcing moves are generally checks, captures, or threats. So
Hmm.
whenever a check or a capture or a threat comes, you are forced to make a particular decision. Like either you have to respond to the check by moving the king away
Yeah.
or capture back, or if they threaten, move away. So
Mm.
you have like you generate those threats well for you as well. And also here you are seeing that as the first move for the opponent, which is
Mm.
actually one of the important things to like to play dynamic chess, aggressive chess and so on, play actively.
Got it. Mm.
So, and okay, f4, that's what your opponent did play. And then you went back queen f6,
Yeah.
and your opponent went knight e4, and you went queen
Yeah.
h6. Yeah, so this is the right decision because if you go here, your opponent would be playing f5, and you would be
Yeah.
losing material here.
Yeah. So that would have been a fork. So
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, queen h6, and queen b3, and here knight c5. So I think mainly you wanted to attack the queen. I think
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
your
That
idea,
is the
right?
main. But then after playing this move, I know that that pawn is gone gone basically.
Hanging. Yeah.
And then basically my bishop is also at risk in the current position, right? Like post that. So that was
Over here. So if they capture here, you're saying it attacks here. Like,
if let's say I don't move the rook or anything, like then the bishop is also at risk. But
okay,
anyway, yeah.
got it. So, but it actually does turn out well because if they
Mm.
did capture,
Yeah.
and as this pawn's taken care of, like defended, you got to play rook b8.
Yeah.
This was actually a very good decision to go knight c5. Maybe like unintentionally it became the best decision, but it's actually because instead of passively defending it with b6 or some
Mm,
sort of
mm.
rook b8, this was the active move over here. And the
Yeah.
thing being, this queen having come too deep into your territory and
Yes.
a7 and c6 being defended, you're able
Mm.
to activate your rook with a lot of pressure over here into the
Yeah.
opponent's territory.
Yeah.
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 And we have a very famous chess saying, put your rook on the seventh rank and go to sleep, which basically means
Okay.
that when you manage to enter the seventh rank of opponent, like
Yeah.
you get multiple targets to attack.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so even if this target moves away, you get a new target, and
Yes.
so on. Generally, there's most of the pieces on the second or the seventh rank, depending upon pawns. There'll be a lot of pawns. So if you can infiltrate into the seventh rank, it generally
Okay.
means like you are going to have clear targets to go after in the opponent's
Mm.
position,
Hmm.
kind of.
Hmm.
So that's why the saying kind of that comes up, and this is more specifically applicable in end games. So generally in
Mm.
end games, when you reach, it's not the eighth rank, but the seventh rank. Because generally, if you look at the eighth rank, only the king and maybe one major piece would be
One.
there.
Yeah. Correct.
Something.
Yeah. Mm.
Seventh rank is where you can target a lot more as the logic here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So rook d1. And here, okay, you played queen e6 in the game. Can you maybe find some other moves as well? Queen e6 is good, but maybe you could try to find some there's interesting lines here. If you could additionally that you could find.
Okay. Just the queen a6 was because of I wanted to take that
This pawn,
pawn there.
a2 or e3, which pawn? This or this?
Yeah, no, so like if the rook takes a a2 and the queen is protecting it, then their queen is also threatened. Right. So that I think that was the logic. But
Okay.
I'm just thinking if there's another move here.
Queen e6 is a very good by logic, and there's also
Hmm.
another interesting move which is kind of equally good for black here. Yeah.
Will it be rook to d um,
Two.
d8? The
Okay,
or no,
d8 put
no,
pressure here.
no, yeah.
Possible, it's possible, but
Mm.
so basically, this is kind of the weakest point, one of the weak points here because it's only defended by this. So what we could do, we could eliminate the defender with rook d2.
Mm.
So what would
Okay,
happen?
so and then yeah, got it,
So
yeah,
you can
understood.
capture here with a check where
Yes,
you
yes,
have
yes.
two threats. Yeah. But Queen
Hmm.
E6 is, I would say it's actually better than Rook D2. Queen E6 is because it's you're not kind of liquidating the position. You're going to win the material like extra pawn, but still have the
Yeah.
pressure on the E3. So
Hmm.
that's the point. When you do this, a pair of rook, like a rook and bishop gets exchanged off the board here.
Yeah.
But in Queen E6, that material is still there, so you can still target more material or weaknesses in the next upcoming moves. So Queen E6 is
Got
a
it.
fine move by that logic. If worst case, you just can capture here, or again,
Hmm.
Rook D2 is still, that threat is still alive very much. So Queen D3, and then you picked up the pawn, Rook D8. I mean Rook A2, sorry, F5, Queen E5. Yeah, and bishop b4. So yeah, you just opponent blundered a piece, but you
Yeah.
nicely captured it. And here, yeah, this I liked it kind of because I believe you saw that this not like a back rank problem. Like you
Yeah.
captured the queen. I believe you noticed that your bishop could come and give a high cover for the king.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah. That's
yeah,
I don't know.
that
I don't
was a
know what I
nice
did. Yeah. Correct. Okay.
bishop f8. And
Yes.
here you just managed to capture and checkmate. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So I found it interesting in the terms, as I said, Queen E6 was a like very good move, this one. And
Mm-hmm.
another thing was Knight C5, either it was planned or accidental, was actually the like you kind of like tempted your opponent to capture B7 at the end,
Yes.
two
Yeah.
moves
Yeah.
later.
Mm-hmm.
So, and once your opponent fell for it, you managed to get all the activity and you managed to build on top of it. So that's why I kind of like I picked this game. I thought it was interesting from that perspective. Fantastic. So you want to
Okay.
add anything about this game? Anything?
No, I think this was a good game. And like I said, my earlier games I would be very defensive. So this was at least like from what I've seen in more recent games, I'm trying to make things happen in like and see where it goes, right?
Yeah,
So and 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 broadly, that's something that even in life, like I want to take an approach, like make things happen rather than just be defensive or like wait for something to happen. So yeah,
got it. Got it. Fantastic. Fantastic. So I just stopped sharing of the screen. So
sure.
just have a few more questions.
Yeah,
So for example, as like, an adult chess learner, like what do you think is like maybe some things that like maybe slightly different challenges, like, or something, what do you think in terms of learning approach or something like just
yeah,
maybe your opinion on it? What do you think?
yeah. So I think the biggest challenge is uh, you know adapting or and also visualizing, like just um so I think as young as you are, you probably pick things up very faster than and you're able to visualize and maybe even get very creative a lot more faster. And I don't know if it's something to do with like over the years you're set in certain ways and you have to unlearn and then just change your personality in a way that okay, like let me take a risk here and do. But like kids, like they're just starting out and like the concept of risk is still very early, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, I think the biggest challenge is how do you just be open to um like have an open mind in every situation and anticipate at the same time, like be creative and being bold and like your move, right? So that takes a bit of time. So which is why I feel like the more I learn this, it maybe like I can um uh, not like completely tame those things or the apprehensions, but be more free in some of these things and decide better. Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
So my mentor in chess is from Women's World Champion, Susan Polgar. So she has this saying all the time that, like, chess is like your real life personality is what actually extends into chess, like for young kids.
Ah,
So if you are a very
yeah.
aggressive play a person as a kid or
Yeah.
something, like your playing style would reflect that kind of very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
So, like your personality gets directly reflected in who you are as a chess player. So for
Mm,
example, I have a very more of a positional playing approach, and
mm, mm,
so like So it's more of maybe, what I learned or what shaped me as a kid, kind of that reflected in
Hmm.
me as a person, as well as a playing style as well, and so
Yeah.
on. So, and also when you were mentioning about this, uh, when we work with kids, let's say when they're taught by multiple coaches and when they come to us, many a times one challenge we would face is like make them unlearn maybe the
Mm.
wrong things that they have learned or something. So that's kind of, I think, where you were also trying to mention
Yeah.
changing like kind of the mindset kind of thing, right? We are
Yeah.
stuck to a
Yeah.
particular approach, and
Correct. Yeah.
we want to maybe change it, trying to be more adaptable to that. Fantastic,
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
great. And so also, like, as you were in VP marketing in Zomato for a long period of time, I saw,
Mm.
how do you think chess is like, do you just in general, do you think chess is being marketed the right way in general? Just what's your thoughts on it as a sport?
Yeah. So definitely in the recent years, and I've seen it get a lot more visibility, and it's amazing to see, the players on a global stage, what they're able to achieve. And as a kid growing up, it was just Vishwanath Anand, who was known, I would say, and inspired folks to pursue it. But now that, like, it's great to see a lot more focus and talk about chess because of players like Gukesh or Praghu and so on, right? Um, so marketing wise, and I discovered a few Chess Base India, all of these in the last few months, and the even the community in Bangalore. So definitely very good way to build chess grassroots level, right? Because this is completely volunteer based, I think, organization that does chess every week, and that is just completely amazing to see a community approach to it. Um, and I think what definitely, so that is all the good stuff. Like, definitely there is a lot more focus that can be put into giving more visibility to chess. Maybe whether it is corporates getting involved, maybe it's corporate tournaments, or I don't know, like, even at school level, making um, I think compared to other sports, chess can get a lot more, let's say, share of voice, and that will only come if like every week there is something happening where chess gets recognition and in places where most people hang out, right? Whether that's social media or, like, could be in the traditional media and so on. So, but I think, like, more participation from the corporate world, whether that's just tournaments or so on, and sort of making that exciting. It'd be great to do that. Like, I haven't seen that, like, when I was at Zomato, or even the last 4 or 5 years. But I think now that I'm more involved, I can see there are tournaments happening, at least in Bangalore. But yeah, good things, like, last post COVID, at least, like, I've seen it only increase at a very rapid pace in terms of visibility. But yeah, like, there's a lot more potential for sure.
Got it. Do you see more interest in like adults around like you, like in chess, like them taking it as hobby? Do you see something like that the in recent?
Yeah, but the only thing is, I don't see people talk about it that much, right? Like, so I've in the last 2 3 months, I've discovered, like, when I mentioned that, hey, I'm learning chess, then somebody like, hey, I'm there on chess.com as well, and but I've known, like, him for like 20 years,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
I'm like, okay, so we should play sometime, and
yeah,
so I don't think people really talk about it
yeah,
that much.
yeah.
I'm sure, like, people do play chess from time to time, but
Yeah.
it doesn't get that visibility. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is some sort of a corporate chess tournament among the IT companies in Bangalore once a year.
Uh-huh.
I've
Okay.
heard about it. So it's kind of like they kind of fight for which company is the best chess team. That's
Yeah.
like the only corporate kind of so far that I know of like a chess activity. Like in because the thing is, in New York and all, there's actually a proper corporate chess league. So the
Yeah,
companies, every week, they go like and play a tournament. The results get like, they so they have like a real prestige kind of thing, which team wins it.
yeah,
So I
okay,
know many big cities in, so that's kind of one of the things that Chess Gaja, we are like hoping that more and more interest for chess and adults come in India,
yeah, yeah,
because major cities in US, we've noticed it's like a recurring yearly league. We have that it ends with like the team that has scored the most points,
nice,
they
yeah,
win the
yeah,
thing. And even the FIDE, World Chess
yeah,
Federation, they now have a corporate like a world championship kind of thing, where
okay,
companies can kind of like build a team like with their employees, and then they can add one person, like kind of recruit a professional chess player. So they
oh,
can put
nice,
a
okay,
team together and go and I think it's 2 or 3 years they've been doing that. So there's a small increase in interest on adults and
yeah,
startups, corporates. We are seeing it slowly go up in India. That's
yeah.
and great to see that you're saying that more
The
people.
other thing is, so I was in Shillong
Yeah,
recently, and there is a park there
yeah,
where they have like chess.
yeah,
I think there's a mural and there are like chess boards there, right? So that was really great to see, and I think they have a vision to have like a GM by certain, I forget the year,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's sort of like a mission to have a GM from Shillong. I think that's a great way to actually, get people in the community excited, right? And
Hmm.
like, for example, Bangalore is known for its gardens, so
Yeah.
would love to see something here where, just gets more and more visibility like that, like those kind of initiatives. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they are actually, I think, Shillong thing that you mentioned. I think a day or two before, their chief minister released a bunch of kids' chess books, like
Oh,
translated from English or Hindi to their local language there for kids to
mhm.
learn and so on. So they are. It's a very exciting project in which I believe, like it's covered quite extensively in Chess-Based India. I've seen them
Yeah,
talk about it, and yes, that kind of that chess park approach. I
yeah,
hope Lal Bagh or Botanical Gardens, Bangalore, they
yeah,
do a lot more of it there. So great. So, any closing
cool.
thoughts you want to add on like your chess journey? And because when you joined us, you were around 534 around that chess.com rating
Yeah,
638. So that's
mm,
part in general. So we are happy with the interest you have shown on chess and the
yeah,
growth,
mm.
and we really want you to like go to 1,500, go for those higher 4-digit rating numbers.
Yes, yeah.
And so any closing thoughts you want to add? Anything about chess and your journey
Yeah.
so far on chess or anything? Yeah.
I don't know, I think like beautiful game, and I'm happy that I'm discovering more of it through Chess Gaja. So yeah, like I said, the main thing is like I'm learning new things, and it's challenging at the same time. Like it's fun to play some of these games and see also my own behavior on some like how I take these the learnings from it and all of that, um and also great to work with the coach on some of these areas which we identify that we need to develop further. So yeah, thanks so much and great chatting with you. And all the best to Chess Gaja as well.
Thanks a lot, and it was great having you as a guest today on our episode. Thanks and to all of you, thanks for tuning in. So I'll see you all in another episode of with another special guest on Chess Gaja's YouTube channel. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.